Okay, so today our final lesson towards the end of the school year is on how to use the TI calculators because you will no longer be using, from my understanding, you will no longer be using Desmos for your calculating needs when it comes to geometry and higher level math. You'll be using a TI calculator. Now, some TIs may look different. They might be yellow, they might be colorful, but they all kind of function basically the same. So this is TI 84 Plus. To turn it on is in the bottom left corner right here is the on button. You turn it on. Sometimes you get this message, sometimes you don't. This is just a message saying that the RAM or the memory for it has been cleared. All you have to do is hit enter, which is down here in the bottom right. Okay. All right. So you should have this set of notes and a calculator and something to write with. Use this pen. Up here at the top, is shows you all the different ways and all the different ways to input different functions such as pi, where to find squaring, square rooting, the caret, so raising it to any other power besides 2, cube root, negative, do not use the subtraction key. Those are two different things. The absolute value button and parentheses because they are above 8 and 9 right here. So let's go ahead and do some of these basic calculating. So we have calculating the square root of 529. So we find the square root, which is right here, and our instruction says hit the second button, which is this blue button right here. When you hit that, this will turn to a little arrow. And instead of the normal keys being activated, all the little blue keys where it has all the blue words, those are now activated. And for square root, right here we have squaring. In here, right here in blue, we have square root. So we're going to type that in. And then that second part, that second key goes away and it's looking for you to put in a number. Sometimes it'll have this little box right here. Sometimes it won't. Older versions won't, newer ones will. Okay. If you're not in the box, you are typing outside of the square root. So you want to make sure that you are in the box. And here we're typing 529. That square root line should extend. And then all we have to do now is hit enter. And it gives us the answer of 23. If I want to look at problem number 3 right here, it has negative, so we have to hit this button right here, negative 23 minus 46. Hit enter, and it does the calculating for us, which is negative 69. Absolute value can kind of throw us for a loop. So, and it requires us to get into a menu in order to do it. So, in order to find the absolute value function, which is this function that has these vertical lines, to find that, we hit the math button. So right here, underneath second and alpha, we have the math button. And it gives us this menu. And this menu has all the different functions that this calculator can do, majority of which you won't have to know or remember. In this case, we're looking for absolute value. So it wants us to go over to number, and it's this one, abs, for absolute value. You hit enter, and it has the absolute value function. It wants 52 minus 64. So we take 52, we minus 64, and we get 12. Let's talk about problem number 7. Problem number 7 is what causes the biggest mistakes for students because if you look at problem 7 and problem 8, type this in and then type this in and see what happens. So the first one is negative 5 squared. The second one is parenthesis, negative 5, parenthesis squared. And so this one gave us negative 25. This answer gave us 25. when you are squaring and it is a negative value, you need to use parentheses. It is the biggest mistake that students make in regards to this because the calculator does order of operations. What the calculator reads here is -1 times 5 squared. So because order of operations, exponents come first, it does 5 squared and then it multiplies by -1, making it negative. Here, it reads it as -1 times 5, making this negative, and then squaring it. So it's -5 times -5, making positive 25. If you ever get an error message, like if I do 10 divided by 0, it will tell you some sort of error. All you normally have to do is you can hit quit and it'll just say error. Sometimes you can go to go to, and what it's telling me is that I can't divide by 0. So I'm looking at the equation and I have to figure out that I can't divide by 0. Anytime you need to clear your screen, this little button right here, clear, will clear the line. This button right here, DEL, that will delete it, but it needs to be either on the number or in front, and it will delete the thing in front. Go ahead and complete this. Pause the video, go ahead and complete this before moving on to the next one. Okay, what you should have done is you should have paused the video and completed this. Now, it wants us to calculate some of these. So, anytime we need to calculate a fraction, what we can do is we can hit the alpha and y equals, and this brings up our 4 different types of fractions or functions or anything like that. You normally want the first one, which is numerator over denominator. With the second option, that's a mixed number. So if I have the numerator over denominator, then I type this in, -21 minus 6. I use these arrow keys to get down to the bottom, all divided by 3. And I hit enter, and it will tell me that this is -9. So continue practicing. I'll go ahead and do this one. Continue practicing. You hit alpha y equals. You hit the first one, and you type it in. 2 minus 4. Use the arrows to get down. 5 minus 7. Which is 1. So if we want to rewrite a decimal as a fraction, you would type in the decimal 0.625. You hit math. You hit fraction, which is this very first one. And what it's going to say is, it says, they're telling the calculator, take this decimal, convert it into a fraction. And it will for you, 5/8. Sometimes it won't work great. We have 0.3333. What this should be is 1/3. However, because it's not 3 repeating, it doesn't know how to convert it to a fraction, so it leaves it like that. That's something you're just going to have to know. If we want to convert this as a decimal, you do alpha y equals 2/5. Math, go down to decimal, hit enter, and it will tell you 0.4. I'll go ahead and do problem number 10 since that's a mixed number and we haven't seen that yet. So you would hit alpha y equals, go down 1. That gives me my spot out front. So that's 3, 9/10. So that is 39 over 10. It's your responsibility to go ahead and finish off the rest of this. The basics with graphing. The first thing you're going to want to do whenever you have to graph something, you hit y equals in the top left corner right up here. To enter in a variable, you're going to use this button right here. It's got an x, it's got a t, it's got omega, and it's also got an n, or I'm sorry, theta, and then it also has an n. It's next to the alpha key. So if you want to go ahead and graph a line, let's say we're graphing the line 2x, that's the x that you use. Not this, that means multiplication. Then to see the graph, you hit graph right here in the top right. If you want to see a table, table's written in blue right above the graph. So I have to hit second graph, and there's my table. These are my x values. These are my y values. If you want to quit this or graphing mode, you have to hit quit, which is right here. So you hit second and hit quit, and it gets you back to the home screen. If you would, go ahead if you would for me, please, on this, go to y equals, change this to 4x minus 1. Fill out this table and do your best you can to graph this. Answer these questions down here. And that's our basics with the calculator.